we're together, you'll be on the witness stand. I've got your love and his blood on my hands.
It is Wednesday. We are wizards. It is July 12th, 2023, and this is our weekly cult meeting, Wizard Wednesday. Channeling in from the Quantum Downs, this is your cult leader, Dota, and who is joining me today?
Jitsi, we'll call it Budget Bear for
All
today.
right, Budget Bear. Hey. We are down 2 out of 3 cult leaders today. We've got the black goat is traveling, as well as the bear. So you get to listen to me for a whole hour, and boy, howdy, do we have a good show lined up today. There's so much to talk about. We've got cult questions. I'm going to talk about fan fiction. We've got some collaborations we're going to talk about. We've got cold announcements. I'll talk a little bit about some of the Illuminatus cards that I've been posting. We can talk about cult content. There's so many things. So let's just, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Jitsi, I hope you can help me answer some of these cult questions. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely can. If I planned better, I could have had a Cobalt takeover.
Yeah. Ooh, there's still time, honestly. And well, if anybody wants to come up on stage, please come on up and ask your questions, make your contributions. So, the first cult question that we have is from Urshan, and it says, "What is your favorite incantation or spell?" Jitsi, Matto?
Oh man,
Mm,
that's a tough one. I'm blinking on the name of it, but it's the heart spell. I love that one, even though I don't own one. Trying to remember the name of it though, but that's definitely my favorite.
yeah,
Has been.
yeah. To make someone fall in love with you instantly. That's already your superpower.
Call me Cupid.
I'm gonna go with the opposite. I'm gonna go with the opposite and say the death spell is pretty cool. I always love that spell when I see it.
It looks amazing. Definitely a favorite. All right. The next question comes from Adept Jackdaw, and he says, "If you could contact Dota developing the original Wizard Burn and Soul mechanics with what you know now about how the speculative pricing of the Flames and Souls would turn out, what would you tell him? Also, with what you know now about flame hoarding." I don't really know that I would change anything. I think of like a lot of the tokenomics that I've done. I really enjoyed the flame mechanic so far. I think if nothing else, really what I would like to do is to generate some more uses for the flame. Because for me, one of the things I really love about the sacred flame is a few parts, right? So like it was one of the parts that came before it was the idea of the Bored Ape serum was released maybe about a month before. I don't know exactly. Um, and while one of the things with the Bored Ape serum was that you were able to use the serum, but then you got a new ape because of it, right? So you sort of had an inflation to the supply in accordance with like the amount of like serums that you drank for your ape. And so one of the things about the Sacred Flame is, of course, that the original wizard was lost, was burned, and so you're burning not only the original wizard but also the flame. And I love that idea. I love the idea of building sort of like not just inflation, but actually like sinks into tokenomics. And then the other part that, of course, makes it very interesting is this idea of the undesirables, right? The idea that maybe you try to go through this flame, but it's unpredictable. So I don't know. I'm kind of happy with the way that turned out. Really, what I want to do is just kind of add on to it. Um,
Yeah, they're super fun. I feel like we're talking about a lot of the time too, how to use tokens we have to make fun instances for community, right? And I think that's just like a really good example of it. The risk along associated with it was always fun too. I thought, even though some people didn't really see it as a risk because they're obviously more valuable, it seems like, to the community. But I don't know, that factor has always been really ideal, I think, and fun for the community.
That's what I think too. Like when you how do I say this? When you know that you burn it and it's going to work out every time, then you actually care less because it's just predictable. I would say that like um the sacred flame is one of the things that I love the most because like I have felt physical pain at the outcome of like other people's burns. Is that like when someone burns, I don't know, let's say The David Bowie wizard. What was his name again?
Oh man, there's like I go with
It's
month
so bad.
spurts of like forgetting about it, and then someone mentions something, and I'm
The
like, oh
Goblin
god,
King.
The
the
Goblin
Goblin
King.
Goblin
King.
Yes, the
King.
Goblin
He
King.
got burned.
This,
So
or when
sad.
someone like takes like an ultra, or Fox Wizard burned his namesake, and then it evaporated before his eye. It's just like it just hurts. Like you get to it, and you're like, I wish they didn't do that, or I wish that didn't happen. And then like even though I created this system, I'm like powerless to change it. And so, well, I love that. Like wind it up and let it go. And some people win, and some people lose, and everyone has fun because they know what they're participating in. So really, what I would say is just build. I would want to build more systems on top of that infrastructure. So, for example, one of the problems with adding more uses for the sacred flame is this idea that maybe does create flame hoarding, because people say, well, I want to use those flames for the thing that happens in the future. But well, I love the seesaw of the balancing between different kind of uses for these tokens. So uh, be ready for more. Be ready for more. All right, Cheddar Bob asks, why does the collection have only one Bob? This is an important question. So I think that the one Bob is Bob the Bearded, a green hat, if I'm not mistaken. Bob the Bearded is, I think Bob the Bearded was actually an honorary that was customized, and I believe it's owned by Wise Sam. Why is there only one Bob? I'm not sure. I'm not sure why there's only one Bob, but it became a Bob because it was a custom name that was picked out.
I buy so many of Wizards and Warriors based off of names. Like I think it's such a subtle, fun thing. Like anything that pops up with of kobolds, I pretty much buy it if it's like within my price range. But there are other ones too that are just like super fun. Like one of the things that, along with Affinity, have always been like a calling card to me because just like the extra uniqueness of it all.
Maybe Bob put a curse on all other wizards that were named Bob to change all their names and like wipe the memories of ever having a name Bob.
Got him.
Only Robert. Yeah. Cheddar Rob the Bearded. All right. Tanya Del Rio asks, my question for Wizard Wednesday, were there any other heads or bodies that Elf made but didn't end up using in the final collection, and will we ever see the outtakes? The answer is yes. At when you were asking this question, I actually dug up a few. I actually wasn't quite sure if I wanted to share these. I was going to ask Elf, but he's not here. Well, he's here, but he's not on stage. So, Elf, speak now or forever hold your peace. Oh, too late. Okay, I'm dropping it in the Discord. Here we go. So,
second.
here is I dropped in Discord one. The Huntress head originally had green hair. Interesting. I actually really love the green hair, but as you can see here, it kind of blended with some of the cloaks. I think, all in, I think the blonde hair was the right choice for this wizard. Hey, Elf's up here. Hey, here we go. And then another head that we created originally was this sort of Native American in with like a feather and headdress and war paint. And when push came to shove, when it actually came time to like put that in the collection, we just weren't sure. Like we weren't sure how people would respond to it. I think that kind of the you want to be like considerate of different cultures, and is like including it, honorific or exploitation. And I think that one was just like on the fence for us. We couldn't really decide. We considered it honorific, but we decided to leave it out in the last minute. I still think that it would have been a great contribution, but there you go. That's the answer. There's also a couple bodies. There's a couple bodies that already were revealed in that original screenshot that was resurfaced. The green poncho. The green poncho was a body that didn't make it in the final collection. I think because it was supposed to be like a poncho, but it ended up looking like a dress. And then this early collection, this very, very early gen, had a head that looks like this kind of like dark evil feather helmet with a purple face, and well, that never made it in the collection either. It definitely looks like it's something from Lord of the Rings.
Those bodies are so good. I don't know why they remind me of I don't know what they remind me of, but they make me happy. Like
They make me
there's
think of
no-
a bell. You know what? I think it's just a giant bell, so that would be like perfect for like an alternate universe Woz. He just has a bell for a body.
There's two other things that come to mind that changed. Well, one, the camo body. So I just posted another screenshot of the camo body with the pumpkin head, and there's another one with there's another camo body there, and it just didn't quite work. You know, at the end of the filtration process, we were like, you know, it just wasn't doing it for us. We dropped it, cutting room floor, and then the Illuminatus was actually a lot more yellow lime, cobalt green, some might say, than kind of the like orange that as we know it today. So yeah, the Illuminatus, I love how it looks almost like more vintage, right? It's sort of like the vintage Illuminatus body. So, um, you
yeah,
know,
something's
two
really
years,
different.
yeah, looks really different. Looks really different. But then so much of it looks so much the same, right? A lot of Elf's kind of initial, I don't know, intuitions were just immediately the right ones. So, um, yeah, thanks, Elf. Hopefully, I don't get in too much trouble for sharing some of those early
Did you just
artifacts.
share? Did you
Hey,
just share a bunch of my like prototype art?
no, no,
Oh,
Y-
oh, I
yeah,
must have misheard something. My reception's really
yeah,
bad.
you must. Oh, hey, Elf.
I can't wait till I get good reception to re-listen to this and see what you actually said.
Quick, delete all the Discord messages. No, so what surfaced on Twitter earlier today was some of the early gens that we shared in Discord. That we'd had already shared in Discord, but I think that there was a few bodies and a couple heads that maybe hadn't quite been seen. Tanya asked to see them, and so there they are. Yeah.
The forgotten runes.
Yes, truly,
Truly
truly
forgotten.
forgotten. Yeah. Um, cool.
I think you forgot to mention there's like this like electro guy body. This it's like a black body. It looks like yellow, kind of like sparkles on it.
I think that's like the yellow camo. Like I thought that was yellow camo. Maybe that
Oh,
is yellow
okay.
sparkles. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that. I think that just by the time we were done, we were like, doesn't work. We dropped it. Well, cool. So yeah, Tanya, that is the answer to your question. Those are the heads and bodies that did not make it into the final cut for today. Anyway, we'll see if I can dig up some more. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today is the idea of fan fiction. Okay, so Minimum Wave, he pointed out this really, really interesting article to me. It was titled uh, Fan Fiction and the Bourgeoisification of Creativity. So Minimum Wave pointed this out, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks ago. And it was really, really enlightening article that I thought just encapsulated the mission of what we're trying to do here. The article asked the question of if fan fiction is a democratization of art or if it's just an exploitative tool. And the idea is that, like, when an individual is able to build on a work and write original stories using the characters, this is really sort of a democratization because, you know, what they call in the audience, what they call in the article, the audience members are able to take control of the work and just make new content that appeals to them. And so they in the article they cite some really interesting historical context. They say that it started with Sherlock Holmes in the 1890s and really peaked in the 1960s with Star Trek. But honestly, I think that's totally wrong. I think fan fiction probably has its roots all the way back to, like, let's say the Greek gods and probably way before. Um, but let's put that aside for a second. I think because what they're talking about here is this idea of like a power imbalance in economics. So, like, fine, we'll start at the 1890s. So, part of the reason why they cite that fan fiction democratizes art is because it's really easiest to change the existing content, right? So we talk about this all the time here, which is we all build on the Runiverse because world building takes a really long time, and it takes a long time to create a world and then also to disseminate these ideas within the group, right? And it's more accessible because you can create as little as you want, right? You can create a single image and add that into the canon. And so we do it because we want to have creation, this ability to create, and we also do it for our community, right? We love creating these stories, we love sharing them with our friends, and really what happens is you blurred this line between creator and consumer, which is in theory this like very democratic process because we can all like contribute and negotiate the canon together. Um, but what the article points out is there's a dark side to all of that, right? Under this veil of democracy, fan fiction really is maybe sometimes a tool for a sort of exploitation by the IP holders, right? Because there's an inherent power imbalance where the wealth and the control remain in the hands of a few who own this IP, and those who are contributing significant amounts of creative work, they remain unpaid. So what's happening is this fan labor generates surplus value for the franchise owners, but then they see no financial compensation for their work. And so, yeah, this article, Fan Fiction and the Bourgeoisification of Creativity, says that it kind of ends there, right? And it says, well, that's the problem, right? Like cult content, fan content is just a problem because all of the value accrues to the original holders, and they don't really have any solutions. Um, the article talks a lot about like the problems of capitalism, and it like presupposes power dynamics as like the primary underlying force of society, right? It has this belief that capitalism is primarily a tool for exploitation and imperialism. It's basically just like traditional neo-Marxist analysis. And so like the fact that they don't really have any solutions is not that surprising to me, a capitalist. So I think if fan labor generates surplus value, then really the solution is that the so-called quote unquote fans really should have a commercial right to their creation. And that's exactly what we're building here. It's a world built from the ground up in a new IP with rights that are held by the people who contribute. So, I mean, we're still in the bootloading stage, and it's not lost on me that we haven't all reaped the benefits of our collective collaboration. But these things take time, and when we build something that we love, we can't fail. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out. Thank you, Minimum Wave, for sharing that article. Maybe if somebody could dig it up, I think it was in the sales or alpha chat
I'll
and
see if I
post
can
that in
find it.
Secret Tower. Yeah, yeah. So those are my thoughts on fan fiction. Anybody have anything they want to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to read the article now because it's super interesting. But I think we see this across like all of crypto and Web3 too, right? Like with what we're trying to do here with storytelling is like very applicable to like what I'm seeing in gaming too. Right, where just like if you summarize it and down to brass tacks, the idea that those who are putting in effort are getting rewarded on the top end too, right? Like wherever, however that like plays out over the course of years, months, whatever it is from project to project. But I think that's what everyone here to a certain extent is like looking for, right? It's like they see that huge unbalance of power and like what can we do to balance it hopefully. So it's just super exciting. I'm trying to find the article as we speak. So
Oh yeah, I found it. There we go.
Somebody just
No,
posted it.
Wish
nice.
Minimum Wave was here. I'd love to hear his take on it. Hi, Bridge. Hello.
Hey guys, just ran to
Hey.
a quiet spot. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, he sounded
Great,
great.
great.
Yep.
Yeah, speaking of fan fiction, we have the results of the lore contest.
Ooh,
Nice.
let's hear it.
Yeah, we had a decent amount of submissions, almost 15, 16 submissions from both old and new contributors, ranging all over the place in the Runiverse, but the theme was the Black Sand. And you get bonus points if you mention any one of the one-on-one mounts, and you got bonus points if you mention the theme of collaboration. So we had some great stuff, and it was really hard to narrow down on how to give out rewards. I'm sure this is a familiar concept to you guys on team. how do you reward so much amazing creativity or recognize so much amazing creativity? But the one that was really just above and beyond was the song by Oz for a lot of people. If anybody has the time to jump into that channel and listen to that song, it really was quite amazing.
Breaking news: Oz wins creative contest.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh man, and I really, yeah, trying to judge art contests is the worst because it's impossible to say who's best. But I think, um, you know, I have here in my notes even to talk about Oz and his song, and I think it's such an important point of what we're doing, where Oz talks about like his comfort zone, right? Like in his tweet, he says, "I'm realizing the influence of Forgotten Runes lore inputs on my creative practice. Last week, I went completely out of my comfort zone, leaving visual art activity to build a dedicated website for the Atelier, and also writing and recording a song for the Black Sands."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really special. And the silver lining is that our rewards were that one of one mount, but then also like a handful of mecha ponies from the Black Sand. And we spoke with Legatus, and we're able to reach out to everybody involved and talk to them about a potential mecha pony, or we talked to Bear as well, and we have a merch situation. So everybody involved, please DM me and Sharon, and we're gonna figure out a way to get some ponies out there for the races coming up, and then get some merch out to people who got involved. There's a bunch of honorable mentions, but I'm afraid that if I pull up my Discord, I will drop from Twitter. If anybody can confirm that. But yeah, we had some multifaceted lore that got sent in. Some people got really cinematic with like first person perspectives, going into third person perspectives. It was really amazing.
How much of it ended up in the Book of Lore?
It's probably half to a little bit more than half. At the last minute, we got a bunch of submissions that were PDFs, but probably half at least.
Cool.
I'll repost it when I'm at my desk again, and I'll also repost the one of one mount because it's really cool. It's the giant pink newt, the oxodal.
Oh, I love the Oxalotl. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. So one of the questions that I would love to know would be why the other 50% didn't end up in the Book of Lore, right? So part of it might be, well, I wasn't ready to post it. And then part of it might be, well, structural, right? That like the mechanics of adding to the Book of Lore are like too difficult. It's too heavy. That improvements might need to be made in the Book of Lore. So I was hanging out in, I believe, it was the sales chat earlier this week, and there's a lot of discussion about sort of like things that we could do next to kind of grow the community. And a big thing that came up was around making improvements to the Book of Lore. And this is something that I've heard a lot, and I have my own ideas around like specific ways to make it better. We have some ideas on new design, but here's here's an ask for anybody who's listening in right now, who's in the Secret Tower or around. Tell me, what would be your biggest request for the Book of Lore? When you sit down and you go to use the Book of Lore, where are the friction points, right? Is it like, oh, I don't want to connect my wallet every time? I feel like the editor is kind of buggy. I wish I had more space, right? It's easier to upload images. Let me know. Type in the Secret Tower what you think is difficult to use about the Book of Lore, because we will have some cycles to be able to make it better in the near future. So we want to do that, and we want to make it so that like, well, really, if you hold a lore contest, it's really straightforward for all of the lore to end up in the Book of Lore, and it feels like there's not really a huge risk for that. So yeah, please give me your feedback.
Yeah, I think Tanya said delegate cache, which is probably my biggest one. I always I hate pulling out my cold wallet to make some lore, and probably the editor as well. Like having more space in the editor, I feel is very kind of congested because it's like in the page. So like even if it just kind of like opens up like a new kind of like page in its own instead of doing it within the book page, you know what I mean? That way you have space to actually type everything out and feel like it's easier to work with.
Okay, good. Yeah, these things really don't sound like crazy asks, and so I think that there's a lot of like, there's like a major overhaul that takes your whole life to change it and make it better, and then there's little things, which is like make the editing area bigger and use a nicer font and use delegate cache. I actually don't know if we're going to be able to use delegate cache for on-chain writing. I'd have to relook at the code and figure out with Nisky if there's a way that we could to backport delegate cache, right? Of course, because the Book of Lore predates delegate cache's existence. But I'm like 98% certain that we could add delegate cache for any off-chain lore entries, and so I feel like that would help. True.
Yeah, maybe we have it that you can make it off chain with delegate cache, and then if you ever do want to push it on chain, you can just do the same thing where it tells you need to connect like your original wallet. I think that's perfectly fair. And I think, at the end of the day, like if we're pushing, like I personally, I plan on pushing my lore on chain, like maybe like a batch, like maybe like every once in a while when I feel like there's enough in there. And I think that's a lot more comfortable than like every time connecting my wallet. So.
Yep, I get that. Yep.
Nard said, consider making it more social. I mean, with share, comment, or remix of bookmark and stuff.
That's interesting.
I like that a lot. I mean, it auto posts to Discord rep. That's just Discord, so I could definitely see something like share to Twitter, or I don't know. Like, there's a lot of options there. I think that could be really fun. I mean, you say community, I'm like, let's get it popping. So that sounds good.
Maybe like a favorite and bookmark feature, so that way you can kind of keep lores that you think are really special without actually bookmarking in your browser or anything.
That's a good point.
That's good. Yeah, I like, one of the things that we struggled with. So like the V1 of social features on Book of Lore is like vote up, vote down, right? And that's like if you're not really thinking about it, you're like, oh, Reddit has upvotes and downvotes. And it's like, well, do we really want people coming in and downvoting lore? And it's like, well, maybe. Do we really want people, but maybe not, right? And do we really want people turning the lore into competing for up points, right? Like the up points and then like what we're looking for in the Book of Lore are not always the same thing, right? And so
Yeah.
I think you have to be careful about the social design. And I think something like a private bookmark is a very good metric, because you actually can on the back end, when we are doing ranking, we could look at private bookmarks, but from the outside, for example, you're not necessarily feeling deflated that you only got one upvote or zero upvotes or something. So we could use it as a quality signal for sort of downstream, but it doesn't have a lot of those like social problems of like a leaderboard with the most upvotes in the Book of Lore or something, which might have this kind of like moral hazard.
Maybe adding on to this, I think another cool feature may be if we can maybe like comment on posts, but like maybe the lore uploader has like obviously the ability to kind of like redact comments that they don't want on their lore posting or whatever, just like avoid somebody like abusing it. And then like, for that we can kind of have like, our own wizard profile picture for like our account. And then we can just be like, make comments on lore posts that we think are really cool. And I think having those social aspects would make it a lot more hospitable for people to kind of like go in there and have more fun with lore instead of just kind of like reading it and then only posting it on Discord where it kind of may get drowned out every now and then,
Let's just remake MySpace, but lore driven. I mean,
yeah, lore space.
Hi, Sharon. Hi, Tabitha.
Hi, I just wanted to share that how impressed I was with everybody that entered the contest, because there were wizards who have been around the cult for a while who this was their first time entering a contest, and I just thought that was really brave of them to put themselves out there, even though they've been members of our community for a while. I mean, it is really brave to ask someone to read your writing and critique it and decide if they like it or not. And then we had several brand new cult members post, and that was so powerful that they felt comfortable. So I just wanted to encourage more of that, and I felt like they were also brave. Like that was big, to join a group and then put some of your writing out there. So I know lore is our core, but I just have to say thank you to Bear Snake and Legatus, because when we were judging these, it was really hard. Like it was hard to pick the top ones. And finally we just said, I think everybody deserves a cookie, and I hate to say that because it's a contest, but when things are stressful and you need to be brave to put yourself out there, that I want everyone who's listening, who's new or visiting our community is so kind and so caring that it's okay to put your artwork out there, and it's okay to put your writing out there. So I don't know if we can reward everyone for every contest going forward, but I thought this was really powerful to tell the people that have been here for a while and that the new people that you're accepted and we like what you write. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. I love that. That's It's really wonderful, and I echo that. Yeah, thank you for putting your work out there, and we like what you write.
Sharon, I just want to tell you that whenever I hear your voice, I usually smile instantly. Just to let you know.
Hello.
Tabitha,
Yeah,
hello.
hi. Just wanted to say my old saying, lore is at the core. I want to extend that to and structure even more. Coming back to the Book of Lore, what I would love as a feature is kind of to be able to sort the lore entries afterwards, because it may happen that between lore entry 3 and 4, I want to extend number 3 in a different story. So kind of being able to organize it into chapters afterwards. That's probably a bit more challenging, but if someone has more than one entry, that you really have an index at the first page, so you can jump right to other stories, so to say, and don't have to flip the page.
That's a
If you
good
know what I
idea.
mean.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Yep. Great. Well, we will. One of the things about the Book of Lore is there's the on-chain protocol and then there's the off-chain protocol. And so I think we can add that to the off-chain part, and then we'll have to look and see if we can upgrade the on-chain part to make it do that. But I think as far as displaying that and having some instructions for any other UIs that want to display that, that seems totally doable. Totally
Yeah,
doable. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I dropped. Okay.
You back?
You're back.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Yeah, that was my note on the subject. That usually when I'm drafting, it's in stages. I pull up a doc, and then I edit that, and then it goes to the off chain, and then eventually the on chain. And so we got a lot of the drafts in this situation. And yeah, if there was like a drafting board that was public, that would be super cool as well. Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, because I think a lot of people do start with drafts because it's a sensitive process, especially taking that leap to connect a wallet and then eventually write it on chain.
That's a fun idea. So the idea is you can open a draft, you can save it off chain without it being published, and then you can also share that draft as a draft.
If there was a real
for other people to discover before you save it.
A real-time public drafting board would be amazing, that you can go in and see all this lore being created, and then from there people can go, oh, I saw your lore on the drafting board, that definitely needs to go on chain.
Yep, that's great. I think another thing that we're seeing in the Discord is someone is saying, Nard says, I'd like to get a random lore whenever I open the book. Cheddar Bob says, I think we need to move away from numerical order. So I think that's interesting. This idea that you can have, when you open it, you have a random button, and maybe when you hit next, you can choose next randomly. That's a good idea. That seems easy.
Yeah, definitely would help.
Fantastic. So keep the Book of Lore edits, suggestions coming. We will collect them all into a doc and try to chip away at them. Many of them are actually quite easy. So
yeah, maybe we'll make a Google form right now, and we can start compiling those.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Exactly. Great. All right. So let's talk about some collaborations, some cult announcements, and then maybe I could talk about the cards I've been publishing. So collaborations. One collaboration we announced this week was with Legends of Mara, and that is very, very exciting. Unfortunately, I wasn't the lead on this collaboration, so now that I'm starting to talk about it, I'm not sure what I can reveal, and I'm not sure what is a secret.
I was about to say that I have no idea what can be said.
Yeah, me either. Yuga has a blog post you can read. One of the things that they mention on that blog post is also this idea of cards. It mentions cards in this public blog post, and so you can infer that is part of the Legends of Mara game. And we are fortunate enough to be one of about a dozen communities that are included in that project with Yuga. So super duper excited about that. Very, very happy to be a part. That's been a long time coming. We've been teasing it for a while with the storyboards. Cheddar Bob, I believe, predicted it before anyone else. If somebody predicted it before Cheddar Bob, raise your hand, but I'm pretty sure he's the one who stuck his neck out and said, "I think this is
Shout out Cheddar.
a Yuga hint." Yeah, so shout out to Cheddar for detecting that early on. Yeah, really loved our interactions with the folks at Yuga for this process, and it's been they've got a great team over there, and I'm excited to play the game more.
Yeah, they're doing good work. I mean, they get a lot of heat for a lot of things, but I think they're actually being pretty strategic about it all. I think all the games that they're trying to push forward are definitely different in their own ways, almost for like what they expect people to be playing it. So yeah, it's fun to watch as they roll out all these different games, right? So I think this is going to be just fun.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So let's talk about some cult announcements. Well, VMark, maybe you could come up and talk about the kids art contest if you're around. I'll skip over that so you can come back. Give a Hoot mentioned a tweet that there are 8 new cards that are going to be raffled on a live stream. I believe it's tomorrow my evening. So let me find the tweet. We'll find the tweet for that here. Yeah, Give a Hoot. If you want to come up and talk about that giveaway, please do. But yeah, Runes TCG is going to have a live stream tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7:13. And there's 16, 8 cards, 16 pieces will be raffled again. And so then in the tweet storm, you can find the cards that will be raffled. Hey, VMark. Hello. Do you want to talk about the kids art contest?
Hey, yeah, sure. So last year, I think it was initiated by Snoop Dogg, and with him and with us, we realized that it wouldn't be a real summer without a Kid Summer Art Contest. So based on what you mentioned earlier, and also I've said that he's not a fan of judging art contests. We realized it might be better if it's a longer event, and each week we will post an idea what can be a topic or a method what the children can do for that week, and there will be prizes, and it will be based on like participation. For example, like, did you post something for each week instead of trying to make it a contest. Yeah, so that's the
that's cool.
gist of it. So expect some crazy ideas from our side, and yeah,
that'll be fun. Like one of my favorite fair games was that, we had like the rod and you got like one of those ducks and then like everybody wins, right? Like I loved that game. That was fantastic. Fond memories.
So if I have a kid who wants to submit art to the contest, where do I go? What do I do?
Oh yeah, so there's the Kids Summer Art channel in the community section in the Discord. So yeah, just post the images there, and we'll look at all of them, and I'm sure we will see a lot of fun things.
Okay, amazing. So you can head into the Discord. There is a Kids Summer Art channel under the community section, and that's where you can submit your art. Incredible.
Yeah, I just posted in the Secret Tower, the channel.
Amazing. And if you look now, you can already see that VMark's son drew a version of the slime crew, the sapphire slime, the topaz slime, and the emerald slime. I love it. Hey, another housekeeping thing to talk about is we've been talking internally at Magic Machine about what channels, if any, we can do away with, right? Do we feel like the Discord has too many channels for new people to come in?
Oh, opening up that can of worms. Here we go.
Are there channels that we can and should get rid of? My sense is the answer is probably no, because everyone uses different channels. I actually don't think that we have too many channels that are out that are just like so dead nobody cares or wants to do them. One of my suggestions is that I think that the Art and Lore channel should be combined with the Secret Tower. I think art and lore is so fundamental to the project that people should just post their art and lore in the Secret Tower. But one of the things that I realize is if you get rid of the art and lore chat, there are people who are somewhat timid and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to pollute the main chat with my little artwork," which I think is ridiculous. But if people need a safe space to post the art where they know it's on topic and they know no one will be bothered, then I suppose we keep the art and lore channel. So yeah. So if you have strong feelings about some channels that you feel that are a bit abandoned and could be removed, bring it up because
Yeah,
we got to prune the garden sometimes.
yeah, I would love to have the conversation Discord and definitely like want to talk with community about it. One of the things that I get really like I go into Discords, like for example, Wolf Game, which is recently, and they have like 4 channels, and we know how complex and like how deep that community goes. And so like if we were able to find channels that just like don't make sense that could be in the general chat, I'd love for it to be shared there instead because it'd make our general chat more active for people who don't know us yet. But at the same time, then we have like moments where like we use the familiar pet channel, like pretty like for a good amount of time, people share their pets in there, but never in the general chat. So yeah, we could definitely have a combo. It's just like a tough spot because like we ran through the logic a couple times, but yeah, I don't know. Let's conversate in Discord. Let's do it.
All right, so there we go. Yes, and people are saying keep art and lore, keep art and lore. I want to feel like I can spam my art there. Acid Eater says art and lore gets art related questions, so we'll keep art and lore. I don't mean to threaten anyone's favorite channel. To me, it's just I love the art so much. There's never a case where I don't want to see your art in the Secret Tower. I guess that's what I'm saying. Not that I want to take anything away from anyone. So. All right, Give a Hoot is up here, and then also Black Sands is back. I pinned a tweet up top, a few tweets back, that the Black Sands race is back. So, Legatus, if you're here and you want to come up and talk about it, please feel free to raise your hand. But until then, Give a Hoot, do you want to talk about the Runes TCG live stream?
Yeah. Thanks for having me up. How's it going? Happy Wizard Wednesday.
Yeah.
So no, I appreciate the shout out. It's been a few weeks since we've done this, but yeah, just to give people a quick refresher. So Runes TCG launched its core set on February 1st of this year. The core set consisted of 64 cards, but each card had like 2 versions of the art. There's like the basic and then the more rare alternative art. And so we thought it'd be fun to basically reward people who minted card packs to raffle off the card art. So just the card art, not cards of the card art, but actually card art to minters of card packs. And so that's what we're doing. We have already raffled off 32 of the cards. Each person who wins card art wins both versions of the card. So you win the basic and alternative art versions. They're not NFTs yet, but will be NFTs very soon. My partner and I have been working on some other stuff. But it's kind of at the point where we'll just kick this contract out there so we can actually mint the NFTs and we can mint the art as NFTs, and so you'll get those. And I don't know, it should be fun. And yeah, we do it on live stream just to kind of like also just for proving results and also just to have some fun. We've had when we run through the raffle, we'll we have a little spinning wheel and when I find the winner, I try and find like who it actually is, and so it's a good time. And yeah, it's tomorrow. Was that?
Go ahead.
No, it's tomorrow, 8 p.m. EST. And so yeah, if you're around, hop on. Runes is a Twitch stream. It's in the tweet and it's in like the Discord and stuff like that. I'll post reminders and whatnot. But
do you have to be present to win?
No, you do not. I will basically, if you win. I initially said that you had to claim within 5 days, but that was a bit aggressive. So basically, once we're done with all the raffles, I'll make sure that they basically all went to people who kind of like are like still around. And like basically, once I go through all the raffles, I'm going to try my hardest to get in touch with every person who won. If I can't get in touch with someone who won, I'm not going to mint them the NFT until I can, just because I don't want like these things to go into the abyss. But yeah, so.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. So it's actually the art that is in the cards minted as NFTs. The art is so good on these, really, really wonderful. Is it going to be on Polygon or on ETH?
It's all on Polygon. We were debating whether to do ETH or whatever, but I think we're gonna stick to Polygon. It's been working for us so far. The lack of gas fees has been like amazing. So even minting these NFTs to people would cost like a few hundred, would cost money. like,
Right.
and so it's just worth it not to have to bump into that. But yeah, so it'll be on Polygon. But Polygon has the benefit of being integrated with OpenSea and all that kind of good stuff. So
Yep. Yeah. And then for this artwork for the cards, are you minting one of ones? Is there multiple? How does that work?
So all of these card art NFTs will be one of ones. So you'll basically own, like you said, this art's incredible, and everyone here knows pretty much all the artists who were involved, Sweetbread and Oz and other friends of the cult, Wise Sam, and so like you'll basically like own like one of one like pieces of art from all these amazing pixel artists in the cult and friends of the cult and stuff. So and basically when you buy the card packs, that's how you get entered to the raffle, and so you're automatically entered. We run a query to see, get all the addresses who've minted card packs, and so the standard, and all these card packs are still mintable. Standard card packs are 0.005 ETH, and that gives you one entry, and then there's special edition card packs which are 0.015 ETH, and they'll get you 5 entries. So
that's amazing. I hope I win. They are so good. I love the artwork. That's really, really exciting. So yeah, have you deployed those already?
Not yet. We were kind of holding off on doing some raffles to see if we can get the contract deployed before we do any more. Unfortunately, my dev partner, we've been busy with some IRL stuff,
Sure.
but finally are back on the horse, and so hopefully we'll get that deployed within the next few weeks. But I'm obviously keeping track of all the winners, and they'll all get the NFTs when we actually do deploy the contract.
Amazing. Really looking forward to it. I love those art. Okay, thanks. Give a hoot. Thank you. Okay, and then the next thing is that Black Sands Pony Racing is back. I don't see Legatus in here, so I'll just read the tweet, which I shared up top, which is there will be a 4-week race starting on the 17th, which is about 5 days from today. You can register your mount to join at blacksand.city. The link is in the pinned tweet above. So be sure to register and make sure that you beat Elf and Bear because they are very competitive. I guess I should enter as well. So I'll be entering this race, but hopefully I don't lose because then Elf will never let me live it down. Henry Boyd, come on up here. Let's see. He's connecting. Well, okay. Hey, there we go. Henry, hi, hello.
Hey, what's going on, Colt? This is Hen Boyd.
Hey.
Just want to drop a few bits of information. The Black Sands race is starting the 17th, so be sure to get your Mecca ponies if you don't have one. It's going to be fun, 4 weeks, and there's some more surprises coming that we know of. Please check us out Monday nights for the Monday Magic News. We're having live updates and discussion on treats. The next guest will be Pacific.eth Red. And he's going to be joining us. That'll be great. Another thing is Juan Snow and some of the guys are starting up the fantasy football leagues again, like we did. Second annual Forgotten Runes fantasy football. Big wagers with Warriors. Be a lot of fun. So I just wanted to drop those updates to the cult.
Thanks. I think there's another one of those channels. That's one of the channels where they do fantasy sports, and we wouldn't have those if we didn't have the channel, most likely.
Okay, we're keeping all the channels. I take it back. That's great. Fantasy football sounds like a lot of fun, especially if you're betting Warriors. Get Yield Farmer in there, and then you can bet to burn them. All right, so that is Black Sands. Let me talk a little bit about a question that we had a couple of weeks ago that I didn't get to address from Nard. And Nard said, Dota, can you talk about that Illuminated Chapel card? So I pinned them up here. And I will talk about the Illuminated Chapel card and a couple others as well. So Really, I have been like browsing through the book of lore, using the Loracle, trying out different things, and I was really struck by the lore of Sorcerer Zane of Atlantis. So Sorcerer Zane, let me read you his lore real quick. I didn't write this, but I'm going to read it. It's very short, and he's got a triangle hat. And has a harp, and this is the lore. It says singing and strumming. And what is that you cannot get? Not something you may easily forget. Pyramidal blessings all around. Commune with me, and you'll be found. I testify today, ladies and lords, kobolds and cows, you'll never know peace until you find your destiny in the illuminated. Ever wonder why the sky changes colors, or why the floral faces turn upwards when the winter frost melts to soft morning dew, or how the best sandwich condiments are made? We are the illuminated. The holy arcanist illuminus of the heavens, we beseech the presence of the divine illumination. The holy arcanist illuminus of the heavens, illuminate us. Warning, what the illuminated bestows, the illuminated can revoke. Join us and be saved from the ultimate darkening. Wait, what? For the last time, this is not a dunce cap. End of lore. And as a consequence, well, he turned into a soul. He was burned, went through the sacred flame, and emerged the gangrenous zombie Zane of the ethereal realm, who 3 months ago, now he's owned by Jail Warden, and is only one of 4 souls to hold the Dota's harp. Okay, it's not called the Dota's harp. It's called the Banshee's harp, but one of the other 4 to hold that prop is also the burned Dota soul. Okay, so this short story really stuck with me for whatever reason. I think one in particular was this idea of this religious order called the Illuminated, right? Who considers the Holy Arcanist as their leader. And so this has been kind of my muse recently to develop some imagery around this movement. You might have seen me share some images of the Illuminatus head. So I posted this up in the pinned tweets too. You can see those there. Maybe someone could share them in Discord. And really, there's a few reasons for this. One, I'm working towards developing more cult content just on my own. Another is I've been experimenting a lot with Stable Diffusion and how we might use this to kind of like assist or even scale like some quality cult content. So what I did is I've actually trained a custom Stable Diffusion model based on the Holy Arcanist, wizard number 0. Okay, so why should we do this? Why? Well, one of the really incredible things about Stable Diffusion models is really how versatile they are. And just how many different contexts you can use them in, right? So when you draw a pixel wizard, you have to kind of redraw every pixel to put it in a different pose. Even with the 3D wizards, you have to, fire up Blender and change the pose and change the lighting, and still you're using the same base model. You have to you can squish and stretch a little bit, but to style it is quite involved. Where, well, when you teach AI about your character, you actually teach AI the idea of your character. And so this means that you can render them in all sorts of different styles, right? I'm sure that you've seen like Woz using Magus Wazir as like an anime or a robot character or Pixar style. Even yesterday with like the Fat Zukis coming through, everyone, Woz and Matazuki and I, we were able to create these like overweight versions of our wizards. And like, even though that's sort of a ridiculous premise, right? It was just kind of funny. It's also like a very good example of how versatile these models can be, right? Like as soon as a new idea comes out or a new like style is created, you can reimagine the core of your character within that within that universe. So like, let me get technical for a moment. Like what we actually did in this case is I've trained what's called a LoRa, and that's the same thing that both Woz and Matazuki have done. And so you can think of LoRa as kind of like a patch on a Stable Diffusion model. So the way Stable Diffusion works is you have these kind of like files. They're like multiple gigabytes, right? They're like these real heavy files, like 10 gigabytes or something. And you can think of it as like a video game. How you might have a core video game that's really big, and then you can get like a mod or like a patch for that game that adds an extension. That's sort of like what a LoRa does with Stable Diffusion. Is you're able to actually like take everything that it knows about how to draw pictures in general and kind of like patch in your character on top of it. And so, yeah, Matto's done this with Magus Devin. The One Who Rings has done this with Magus Wazir. And I trained a LoRa for the Holy Arcanist. But there's really one challenge, right? You need a ton of artwork in order to train a Laura. Like, and I didn't have nearly any for the Holy Arcanist, which is actually Elf's wizard. It's not mine, but there's not really that much cult content for that wizard. And, I'd imagine that most people listening, it's the same, right? You might have an image or two of your wizard, but it kind of takes forever to get a commission. And you really need to train these models. You really need like 20 to 30, 50 is even better to give the AI a good idea about your character. So, well, the good news is that we have the 3D models, right? And so what we were able to do is to generate, so I worked with Frog Eater and we generated what we call like a synthetic data set. And so what we do is we take the Holy Arcanist's 3D model and we put it into Blender and we put it in a bunch of different poses. We use different lighting, we use different camera angles, different backgrounds. And then we use those images as training data to teach the AI the concept of the Holy Arcanist. And so, I trained it on a GPU for a few hours and it totally worked. So the AI is able to imagine the Holy Arcanist in like all sorts of different situations, styles, Ghibli style, Renaissance paintings, realistic style. It's very, very powerful. So so that's the idea behind the Illuminated Chapel, right? It's both like, my own kind of personal cult content, my own like obsession with cards, and really just some of the tooling that I'm exploring to scale up these ideas, these tools for everyone else in the cult. It's very exciting. I'm very excited to get more wizards trained with this method because there's just so much we can do with it. So.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking it would be a cool idea of like when the 3D models come out, if there's like maybe like a pack that comes out with it that's like a zip with like all those pre-posed wizards, so that way like people have like a base to start off if they want to train their own models. And I would perfectly be happy with like kind of taking requests, kind of like, hey, train my model or whatever, and like I'll be like, all right, I'll take the time kind of like train some models for people if they want to play around with it.
I 100% agree. I super agree. Yeah. And so right now what we have is a Blender file that has the Holy Arcanist in all these different poses and lightings. And so we're actually using the to get, if you don't mind me getting technical, we're using the like animation frames. So if you've ever used any animation software, you can create keyframes with different like sort of setups, lighting, all that. And basically every frame is just a completely different scene with different backgrounds and lighting. And so Frog Eater put that together. And yes, the idea is exactly what you're saying, is that we could actually write a script that for any given wizard could generate those Blender files, render out the images, and then create, as you say, this sort of starter pack. The cool thing is that the prompts that would be used for training, like the labels, would actually be the same for every wizard. So what I'm getting at is that this a kind of an automated process to training a Stable Diffusion LoRa for everyone's wizard is totally within our grasp. Technically, we just kind of have to figure out, the workflow. So very, very excited about that. And well, it all takes a lot of time. That's one of the main things of Stable Diffusion is it's kind of, if you've used Midjourney, you know how hard it can be to get it to do exactly what you want. But we're definitely making progress. And so I think part of speedrunning a franchise is making these tools available to help anyone create and tell their story and put their rune on the door. Well, speaking of people creating and putting their rune on the door, this is week 25 of the Cult Content Chronicle, put together by the illustrious Tanya Del Rio. Tanya, thank you so much for going over these pieces. I want to go over these pieces of cult content that you've collected. I'll share them up here in the chat. The first one is the Las Vegas orb, reimagined by Feckless to show the big gross eyeball in Vegas. People were joking around and they're saying, oh bear, why can you get us on the giant Las Vegas orb? Is that a door you can actually open? Well, it turns out it is, because Bear is like childhood friends. I don't know if he's childhood friends, but Bear had the person who created the orb in his text messages already. And so seeing that image on the orb is not as far-fetched as you might think. So Bear's not here today, but I'm sure he's opening doors somewhere. The next one coming up reminded me a lot of Oz's statement that he felt that like Forgotten Runes was kind of stretching his creative comfort zone. Tad Major posted an image where he's using, I assume, something like Adobe Character Creator. I'm not really sure. Tad, if you want to come up and talk about how you made this, I'm
Yeah, that's what it
very
is.
curious. Yeah. It's so good. Oh, is there sound here? I haven't listened to this. It looks like he's talking.
Yeah, he uses his
I can't
voice
believe-
and puts it on the video.
What? Okay, so watch that video. It looks amazing. It's pure magic, and really, I could see us using this quite a lot. Tad also has some other pieces of his sort of his scenario AI generations of these new wizards, creating a sort of like Minecraft voxely model. Tad also, yeah, he's got a few of those. There's one where he sort of renders the pixel images into a higher definition pixel image in this sort of like morphing. This morph effect, I am old enough to remember that the first time that I ever saw this morph effect was like Michael Jackson's music video where the faces morph. Anybody remember that video from like the 90s? No? Okay. Oz also posted picture of his Atelier website. So he's doing web design now. Truly a Renaissance man. And Delta Mouse posted this video of kind of the origin stories of Breadfriend. A little bird told me that we are going to be seeing more about the origins of Breadfriend. So yeah, give Delta Mouse a follow if you are not there yet. Ooh, the Breadfriend got red eyes in this video, and that kind of scares me. We also have Marco Fine posted a collage of 25, as he calls them, recovered runes. Really, I love Marco Fine's style. And I think, as usual, the Dota picture here is the coolest one out of all of them. Marco Fine has also started what looks to me like an illustration of the Bugbear Chieftain, but it looks like a teaser image uncolored. We'll have to wait and see that. Hey, Tad!
I just accepted his request. He should be up here in a second.
Okay. I don't know if someone titled Buddha Alpha Healing Sounds is requesting to come up here as a speaker. Do I let him up?
You're called,
I'm kind of
boss.
curious, so we're just gonna do it.
Alf would totally let them up.
Hey,
He would.
Hey, can you
I'll
guys
let him up in his own.
hear me? Okay, I'm on some headphones.
Tad,
Yes,
we
we
can.
can.
Awesome. Hey, I wanted to tell you, yeah, that was I made that little animation with the Adobe Character Animator, and it is super cool and really fun and so easy to use. I'd be happy to give a demonstration for anybody that uses Adobe to help walk you through like an hour tutorial, and I was able to make like a really cool animation in maybe 30 minutes.
Amazing.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't
being
think
used
that
a
I
lot.
could do that in 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I've done a lot with a lot of other softwares in the last few months. And oh, you were mentioning those pixel renders that I was taking. I actually cheated.
Yes.
And I took the pixel version, and then I made all the way into my fully, like through the model, made my full like fantasy art style. And then I ran it through a pixelator and pixelated it back down, and then lined those up and ran it back through in sequence with another really cool thing I'd found on some AI generators called frame interpolation. So it just basically like blends one frame into the next, and yeah, it's really making some neat things. So yeah, I look forward to kind of building a few more of these skill sets and being able to put them all together into one big animation. But yeah, it's been super fun the last week.
One of the things that I realize is that the more I use AI art and Stable Diffusion is just how much artistic taste goes into making it work, because it's sort of this like, I don't know, like giant fire hose, like snake-like being that it's impossible to kind of guide in the direction that you want. And when you're actually able to create something beautiful from it, you really do feel a sense of accomplishment. And it's not at all this kind of like push button art that kind of the narrative kind of makes it out to be. So that looks really amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And that I couldn't agree more. I mean, it takes a lot to figure out how to get the prompts to generate what you want and try to get something cohesive and consistent. And Yeah, I actually I had been using generators for probably the last 3 or 4 months and haven't really made any pixel related art until the Fat Wizards came in, and I had to try my hand at that. And I have to say that that was so much faster for me and easier to put together after having used a lot of these other softwares and kind of fine tuned some of the things that I look for in art. So yeah, I think it's all cumulative. I mean, it's all like learning the building blocks of how to like compose a better image overall. But yeah, super fun times. I'm really loving the new stuff coming out.
Amazing. Speaking of Fat Wizards, that was another trend this week. The Fat Zukis really were a lot. And we had renditions of Wide Sam. We had renditions of Fat Gotten Runes from Maggie Magus. We had Fat Magus Devon and a Fat The One Who Rings. All of those were shared. I may or may not have even shared a Fat Illuminatus on my timeline. We got Fatazuki. Oh man, that's too funny. All right, so yes, I have to say that actually my thesis that if Fatzukis were not a rug, that we would have a new fat meta in NFT crypto Twitter. That hasn't really played out as such, other than the cult, who just happened to be the people who heard me. So yeah, be on the lookout for either a new fat meta or just me to straight up be wrong. We've got a piece by Steezy of Dream Master Lake, a beautiful, I'm guessing, AI generated piece. We've got a piece from Maui that is a Shadow Hats piece of the Hunter deer head Shadow Hat. Another really, really cool piece for the Shadow Hats by Steven that shows the black goat pouring a chalice of jelly over a tower of jelly donuts. Really cool work there. And this piece by The Lion King by Lisa Wessa brought a smile to everyone's face. I love The Lion King. If you look back a Wizard Wednesday, maybe 30 episodes or so, I spent a full 20 minutes analyzing the psychology of The Lion King and as it relates to Forgotten Runes. Look up that episode. It's one of my favorites. Okay, well, I think that is about it for today. Is there anything else anyone on stage would like to add? Oh, all right.
Buddha
Buddha
Alpha.
Alpha Healing Sounds. Let's hear it.
Yes, I have a Wizard song for you guys. Actually, I seen Wizard and I was like, oh, they'll enjoy this. I played native flute. I'm gonna bring you back to wizardry times. Is that all right?
Are you gonna play the flute, awesome, or is it a recording? We just need to know.
No, it's live. It's live right now. It's gonna be live by me. I'm a musician.
Magic.
Okay, then you are going to be the closing song. So channeling out from the Quantum Downs, this has been Dota, Jitsi, Matazuki, Tad Major, Give a Hoot, V-Mark, Sharon, the illustrious Tanya Del Rio, and Buddha Alpha Healing Sounds. All right, Buddha, take it away.
was amazing.
Much
I
love.
hope you join our Discord, please. That
Amazing.
was so good.
Amazing.
Thank
you
you
so much.
so much.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Yeah, I saw you guys in here. I saw Wizards, and I was like, I like Wizards. I think I could do a little song for them. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'll check you guys out. Much love, and thanks for having me.
We're here every week, and you're welcome to play whenever you want. Thank you so much.